great show to be part of, right? Like, just super impressed with some of the other artists in this show, always. So, some insight behind my work. I'll be honest, I tend to pick my subjects from subjects that I'm really interested in. I make a lot of paintings of women, and they're usually pulled from images of women that I wanted to be when I was a kid. Like Eartha Kitt is the inspiration for my little Catwoman painting over there. You know, when I was a kid, I'd watch Batman on television in reruns, and I thought Eartha Kitt was just the coolest. Like, I really wanted to be Eartha Kitt. And upstairs, there's a painting of Mary Tyler Moore. And, you know, I used to watch the Mary Tyler Moore show. When I grew up, that was the life I wanted. This one's a little bit different. I did a whole series based off of Lillian Gish, and particularly this film called The Wind, which it's a silent era film, but the script for it is way ahead of its time. And the female character in it is a very powerful character as far as I'm concerned. So I made a whole series of paintings based off of the idea of Lillian Gish as this character in this movie, The Wind. And I tend to work in series that way. Like, I have a whole series of works called Dream House. I have a whole series of work called Strong Female Lead. And then I have this Lillian series. I have a series called What Dreams May Come. And so they all center on an idea that I get really invested in, and then I start to investigate it, and I start to look around for images, you know, to work off of. And sometimes I take those photographs, and sometimes I find them. Like, I spend a lot of hours driving around Cleveland taking photos of houses and then making paintings from those photographs. And I'm sure people are like really creeped out when they look out the window and there's some woman out there taking pictures of their house. But I love to think about houses and who lives in them, and, you know, what kind of life that might be contained inside of it. It's a lot of what my work is about, is this, you know, life is always a waking dream, and it's always about how we imagine what's going on around us and how we put those images back together. So I try to put that into my paintings, and I try to make paintings that you have this experience standing in front of, that, you know, you have to stand in front of it to really get it, and that the experience of the painting shifts depending on where you're standing. If you're up close, it's an abstract painting. If you're far away, it snaps into focus. Kind of like life. Yeah. You know, you're up close, it's abstract. You get back from it, and things tend to snap into focus. Both of these are from the Strong Female Lead series. The top one is called Louise, and it's actually based on Louise Brooks. And if you do any Googling, you will see that she was a silent movie era star. And, you know, she popularized that flapper bob, that little, you know, with a very chic looking woman. And kind of daring, like the Hays Commission would not have approved of some of the roles that she played. When I was a kid, I don't know if you can tell by my accent, I grew up in rural Alabama, in the foothills of Appalachia. And when I was growing up, we had, when we first started out, we had like 3 television channels. And the one that came out of Tupelo played old movies all night. And I would sit up and watch these old movies. And so I fell in love with these, like Betty Davis and Louise Brooks and Rosalind Russell. And those were the women that I wanted to grow up and be like. So that still bleeds through a lot in my work. I also spent time, obviously, watching, you know, television after school and that kind of thing, and watching reruns of, you know, like Batman and that sort of thing, the old campy Batman. And so that's where my aspirations, you know, came from. And I think a lot about how I imagined these women to be, not how their real lives probably were, but what they stood for, what they kind of symbolically stand in for. And as I said before, that kind of slippage that happens between your experience of the world and how you imagine the world, and also the person that you want to be. So Eartha Kitt, I can't imagine a cooler, more powerful human being to want to aspire to. Um, that's why she got to be in this series. And then Louise Brooks. A lot of people don't even remember her now, I don't think. But what an incredible character! What an incredible role model! Like, what courage! Oh my! You think about that now. Like, we have all these folks and celebrities who are, really comfortable in their own skins, or so it seems. Probably not really. But you think about that back in the 20s, this young woman like taking on these edgy roles in movies, and being this fashion icon. I think about the actresses who, like Betty Davis, who really owned their own places. Like they really carved out their own territory, kind of in contrast to what the world around them might have wanted to project into them. And then, of course, when I make the paintings, I think a lot about color and um, like how you build these paintings up with layers. A lot of people will ask me, like, how many layers are in that painting? I have no idea. It's, sometimes I'll work on one and I'll set it aside, and then I'll come back and start adding back into it. I tend to think a lot about color theory while I'm doing it, and how I want there to be this vibration in the work, and how I want the image to fracture. And I think a lot about, where do these things happen in optical space when I'm making the paintings, and the kind of insubstantial nature of an image, like how fleeting and how ephemeral an image is in terms of reality, what we experience in reality. So much of reality is what we imagine it to be, as opposed to what it really is concretely. And so much of what we imagine ends up shaping our actions and how we interact with other people and our expectations. So while I'm laying all this tape down in color, and those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about.